Yo, welcome to another episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. I'm one half of the greatest tag team in the history of martial arts podcasting, Tim Mushmaster Spriggs. And with me as always, every week is...
What's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball. Glad to be back for another episode of the best jiu-jitsu podcast that has ever existed. So what's up with you, Tim?
Nothing really. Still hustling, still grinding, still living my life. Nothing new to report, which is a good thing. It's very positive. Just been busy, man. Just been busy with wrestling. It's kind of taking over my life on top of other commitments and other projects I have going on. Oh, fun story. So I was asked recently about possibly making a mixed martial arts fight debut, and I told this person explicitly that no, I was not interested.
Oh, okay. I was going to be like, do not tell me that you agreed to an MMA fight.
Absolutely not.
I will walk off this set right now. I told them
the facts. I said, I told this person the facts, just like what was going on in my life, that I have other commitments, and that, it's nice that you thought about me, but even if I were to even consider entertaining coming to train with you, there's some things that I would want. No, they're non-negotiable.
Wait, this was from a different team, this proposal?
No comment. No comment. I can't really go into detail.
Yo, Tim.
I just can't go into detail.
Tim be killing y'all with his lack of detail that he gives sometimes in
They have to pay for all the details.
Patreon, but I'm just gonna give him shit just so y'all know.
They have to pay for details.
On the Patreon, this is what I do. I try to beat this detailed information out of him, because another team. Okay.
No comment. I can't give any hints as to who or what this conversation was about.
I'm just saying, you could have told me before we started filming, so I
can tell you after.
I know, but now I have to wait till after.
It's fine. Keep you in suspense. I just told this person I self-advocated for what I would want in a situation in which I would be going somewhere to train and teach, and what I expected in my timetable for doing those type of things. And we always talk about speaking up for yourself and asking for what you want. You know, it's the funny thing about that conversation.
What?
After I said it, I said my piece, no response. And I think this is a good lesson for everyone listening that are trying to make headway in the industry, or any industry, not just martial arts, but if you ask for what you want, demand for what you want, set non-negotiables, and tell people what you want, you may not get a positive answer, but fuck it. At least you know that you set the standard of what is expected. And standards are here to protect you. Whether it's asking for what you want financially, setting standards for where you want to train, for your business, whatever it may be, setting standards is important. And if you're going to get beat upside the head, or you're going to go through a lot of physical labor, you damn well better get what you want out of the deal. And know what you want up front in the short term, intermediate, and long term. So that's new with me.
Yeah,
Nico.
but speaking on that, I remember hearing in a business conference, one thing that they said is people, you have to set your price, your value.
Yes.
And a lot of people might not be able to pay it, but that's fine. It's but people, they either have to agree to your prices or your terms. And generally, when you're talking about photography or videography, that means I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna own it. Or I'm gonna get a percentage of whatever it is that you thought you were gonna profit off of by my work that you couldn't pay the full price. So it just kind of goes down to that.
I have never seen an industry like jiu-jitsu, combat sports, where so much is expected of the participants without getting anything in return. I've never seen anything like that in my whole life. The people... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I learned this kind of from a student. One of my kids, he always be on the streets. He said it, he'll take advantage. He's I'm gonna take advantage of people until they let me not do it to them.
Yeah.
So like I took that. I was like, that's a little gem, because people are gonna do that whether it's on the streets or in business or in any way, because it's human nature. Like if this person is just gonna agree to it, if they're gonna agree to teach class for free, if they're gonna teach class to train for free, and they're just gonna go on with it, like I'm not gonna modify my behavior if this person is letting me take advantage of them.
Yeah, you gotta have some balls, but that's easier said than done.
Very much so.
It's very much easier said than done, but you have to be willing to tell people straight up, and it'll make your life so much easier, so much happier. Just being incredibly brutally honest with people up front, letting them know what you want, and speaking your mind. And if you argue about it, you know, the thing is, I try to avoid arguing, because when I argue with people or we get into it, like, I go in. Like, as thorough as I am with certain shit that you know, if I'm in an argument with somebody, I'm going to go to win. I don't give a fuck if we're friends after, but I'm going to get my point across. And my point is 90%
said, I am not here
right.
for friendship. Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to be friends, but if we're talking about serious shit like that, like, hell no. The buddy system, that shit's dead. Like, I think one of my biggest pet peeves with myself is that I'm too kind or too amenable. And at a certain point, I just said enough is enough. I'm going to say what I mean and mean what I say. And if you don't like it, fuck it. And I don't like being fed a whole line of bullshit. And if you're going to bullshit me, that's fine, but you got to pay me. You know, you're not going to give me some bullshit answer. I'm not going to believe this hype. Like, no. You're going to give me what I want or kick rocks. And then, sometimes it doesn't work out that way. It ends up not as positive at first, like dealing with flow. But fuck it, guys. Like, if you're in this business and you're listening to this, man, you gotta ask what the fuck you want. And if it's not acceptable to you, keep it moving. That's what's new for me, though. That was a tangent.
Speaking about asking what you want, and since you mentioned flow, so like if you are a Patreon member, make sure you listen to we're actually we got episodes in the library, y'all. We got episodes in the vault. So I'm not sure when you'll be hearing this, but we talked about, what happened with Flow, how Teague is no longer working with Flow, and about BJJ Hacks. I've mentioned them a couple of times on the podcast, and they are back on Instagram. They are posting some really dope highlight videos, and some old school videos of footage that I guess they had, because between Hao and Ricardo Amendolia, those two white boys, one from Canada, one from Wales, like these non-American white boys, like the colonizers, the original colonizers, I mess with them better than these new age colonizers in America. But they have all of the history of
better
jiu-jitsu.
The devil you know.
They got all the history of jiu-jitsu.
You know.
So every time I keep seeing him post, because he lives in Austin, he was working for Flow, and they're right by B Team. So he keeps posting all this footage. He has a B Team, and like he's gonna be moving soon, and like probably leaving the US. So I'm just like, you need to go somewhere where there are black people before you leave, so you can get some dope footage and post it on BJJ Hacks.
Yes,
like,
sir.
yo, you need to come to Camp Springs. Please do something before you leave. But he is posting some really dope content on BJJ Hacks, so you should make sure you go out and follow that Instagram.
Yeah, go check that out. They gave out a lot of good content the last decade, in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm. Like New York, which I think is funny, because if you go to the BJJ Hacks YouTube, which I highly recommend you do, like they ended, like their last series was in New York. So all the people that we now love to hate, but it's interesting to look back. It was like, damn, that was the New York before we all hated New York. Like that was the New York when I like would go up to go train at Henzo's, and I saw like Otavia up there, and I interviewed Holes, and Black Ra was always sitting by the mats, and it was really dope to just go to Henzo's. Like that used to be a period in jiu-jitsu. So you can go and enjoy those videos before we all hated New York, and some old school Rio videos, because he lived in Brazil for 10 years.
Yeah, people play themselves, and it's funny to look back before you found out they were fuckboys.
Oh man, yeah. I remember meeting like Gordon and Nikki Ryan before they just started doing steroids and everything. It was just crazy when they were just great. Like when the Danaher Death Squad was just the Danaher Death Squad.
Just the Nogi guys that got a lot of media attention because they were white.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were talking the subject of beef, right? People don't like each other.
Drama T.
So everyone knows I'm a professional wrestler. And recently, I don't know when this is going to come out. This is probably going to be old hat by the time you hear this, but there was some backstage drama at a recent All Elite Wrestling show. If you're not familiar, All Elite Wrestling, or AEW, is the second biggest professional wrestling promotion, let's say the world right now. They're a rival of WWE. And one of their stars, CM Punk, who this relates to martial arts. Do you remember CM Punk, the wrestler that decided he wanted to be an MMA fighter?
No.
Okay, so you know Brock Lesnar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Brock Lesnar, he was a professional wrestler. He was famous for professional wrestling before he decided to do MMA. However, he had a great amateur background in wrestling, right? Then he won national titles at Minnesota, went to WWE, quit WWE, went to UFC. He fought, right? He won the heavyweight title. CM Punk did none of that before going into MMA. He was just a professional wrestler that got mad at WWE. Long story short, he quit. And years later, he decided that he wanted to fight. But instead of going through the amateur ranks, getting trained for a long time or until he was competent, he jumped the line. He got a fight in the UFC twice and got his shit kicked in. Got absolutely mollywopped. That is CM Punk.
I mean, that's what happens. People love to hop into MMA like it's going to be easy, like slight work.
No, it's not. That's why I'm very against me even trying to do it if I'm not 100% in. I love training kickboxing. I'll train, how to do striking and mix it with my grappling. That's totally different than becoming a professional fighter. Once you decide to sign contracts, to cut the weight, to fight in the cage in front of all those people, you have to treat it like it's a profession. It has to be your only thing. You cannot moonlight, in my opinion, because the stakes are too high.
There are several people that have been in the UFC that have like jobs. Like even Shayna was a teacher until she quit and started tutoring.
But that's like her only shit though, right? Like every day she would train, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
At
like
night.
That's your life. You can have a job and still compete, but it has to be like your everything.
She was in the UFC. That's a lot, but yeah, it is hard. Like you really do have to dedicate that time and that energy because it's like it consumes your whole world. Like your diet, everything you eat, like months out, how often you train, who you hang out with, the hours you hang out.
Yeah, it's all part of it. Anyway, he got his ass beat UFC, laid low for a while, came back to wrestling, wrestles for AEW, but he has beef with these other guys that are in the AEW promotion. They talk shit about each other. They have these promos on television, and CM Punk is mad because this guy called Hangman Page alluded to something in his personal life. He said he went off script. I don't know what that means.
I was going to say, how do you tell what's like actual beef and just like the normal wrestling?
All I'm going to say is that a lot of wrestlers are just theater kids that pretend to be tough guys. So they're sensitive thugs that all need hugs. And they get mad when someone says something mean to them and they don't realize that this is a business at the end of the day. And we're slamming the fuck out of each other. Why get so butthurt about what people got to say about you? You can handle it in the ring.
Are you a sensitive thug?
No, I'm not sensitive at all. No, I'm not sensitive. I have pride, but I'm not going to be up in my feelings and try to fight people, which is what CM Punk did. So, CM Punk gets mad. Some people that are executive vice presidents and wrestlers for this promotion allegedly have beef with him. So he goes in a post-fight press conference the other night, and he just rails. He goes in on them. He just talks hella shit. Says all kinds of shit like they're boneheaded, they're children. I don't like working with these guys. He just goes in full, in my opinion, diva mode. But he's just running his lips, right? So eventually he has to leave the press conference and go into the back. He gets confronted, and the big story in all professional wrestling right now is that there was a squabble.
Oh, I heard some. Go ahead, never mind.
A big old brawl. People getting hit in the faces with chairs. Like People get bitten.
That's what I was gonna say. I heard someone got bit.
Punching,
like really,
people
Mike
getting
Tyson?
fucked up, hair pulled, and it was like a melee. Like he had to clear a room. Like it was motherfuckers piling into a room, people getting separated, all this good shit. I think that's CM Punk right now. Is he calling?
No, that's my dentist. I just had a dentist appointment this morning. It's odd that they would call.
Okay, cool. Well, somebody needs a dentist because some people are getting fucked up in there. Nonetheless, it's a big brawl. They got a show coming up in 24 hours on TV, and the biggest stars just had a huge melee.
Was anybody injured?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, any of the stars, the actual people that were in the show.
Some people got fucked up. They're saying people that got fucked up. Like someone definitely got hit in the eye with a chair. Like somebody threw a chair, like the Boondocks. You know, you want to start a riot, just throw a chair randomly.
I wonder if anybody recorded it.
You know, typically when that shit happens, somebody records it, right?
Oh, always. Like, this is 2022, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, this is recording. Somebody has video of something. But it all got me thinking.
Wait, so the show's supposed to be today then? Or when did this happen? This happened on the 4th. So
this happened Sunday night.
So what happened with the show? The show went on, okay?
It was after the show. It was all this was post pay-per-view.
Oh, okay.
Biggest show of the year, post pay-per-view. There's a skirmish. People got fucked up, and now they have the following show Wednesday night, live on TBS in front of millions of people, and the biggest stars in the company have beef, and they got in a street fight, which got me thinking about street fights.
Yes.
Got me thinking about what you should do if you find yourself in a situation where you might have to fight. Who would I bring with me in a street fight? What I would do in a street fight, or like what you think works? Because all these things are totally different situations. But first, Nico, what are your thoughts on this whole like sensitive thugs talking shit and then wanting to scrap it out? Like, what are your thoughts on this situation?
I mean, I see that a lot, like living in DC, having taught in DC, and my teaching being focused on at-risk youth, following social media in DC, like Kilmo News Network, DMV Hoods. You see a lot of thugs, a lot of dumb fights, a lot of men that don't know how to handle their emotions, and not just men too, females, they get into it. So it doesn't surprise me, a lot of lack of professionalism. But it's interesting. Again, like, I don't know the wrestling industry, and I don't know how, like, the line between, like, these fake insults, like, clearly if you go off script in anything that has a script, you know when you're going off script, you know when you're being inappropriate. But I feel like nowadays people just take things way too far, and they definitely don't know how to react, whether it be, like, luckily, like, they were in, a building where they were working. They're hopefully with some kind of security, like oversight, like nobody's getting shot up, no shots were fired. But, when we get talk about street fighting, it's wild.
Yeah. I just want to say people are just very disrespectful. And I might go on a tangent here, but I feel as though the internet accelerated people being able to be disrespectful. But now, with all this shit going on nowadays, I think it's starting to be less and less likely that people will accept disrespect. Like now, with like guns being more readily available and like people just being angry and the world being on fire, like I don't think people are accepting the rampant disrespect. Like the whole like 6ix9ine shit where he was just disrespectful. People take a lot of that, and people are very disrespectful. But now I'm starting to see people will kill you now.
Yeah.
Like it used to be that way where they let kids fight, right? Like in school, kids would fight, or it was acceptable for men to fight. But I don't know what happened when I was going to school or just coming up in society. Physical altercations were frowned upon, and people were kind of allowed. It's like, oh, well, he just said it. It's just words. And now I think we're starting to lose the whole it's just words era now. Because now people will fucking fight you.
I mean, it all really depends. Like, you grew up in the suburbs. I grew up in the suburbs. You weren't raised fighting. Like, if you grew up in the inner city at some point in school, like, when somebody's picking on you and you're getting bullied because it's inevitable, like, I don't want to throw out numbers. A lot of parents are just telling them like, yo, swing on them then. Like, yo, stand up for yourself. Like, you have to defend yourself. Like, I have even like, the things that I've heard in schools, like, it's just wild. So you gotta think there's certain like amount of people, like inner city kids, that are just kind of like raised fighting to defend themselves, and what they consider like disrespect. Like, even like, my friend Sleepy, like he was over here telling me about like how he got shot at. How did he get shot at? He was at a party with some family. He knew this guy was like talking shit, and he was like, I just let it go. This happened, I let it go. This happened, I let it go. And then he even told me, he was like, so then it got to a point where he kept starting stuff, and I told like my brother, like we had to go, and like we were about to leave. And this person that they got into a fight with said they were gonna go get a gun. They said it. And then at some point, he had like walked out of the house and bumped my friend on the shoulder, and because he bumped that friend, he couldn't let that bump go. He swung on him. I was like, you swung on a person who had said they were gonna go get their gun, and logically he got shot at. Luckily he didn't get hit.
They should have whooped his ass before he could get the gun. You're not gonna tell me you're gonna go get a gun and I'm either leaving the party immediately, I'm gonna fuck you up really bad, and then like steal your car keys and then steal your gun.
And that's what I don't understand, because he was like, first he tried to tell me, I was like, I didn't start it, and then I was like, how? After I heard the story, I was like, how did you not start that if you threw the first punch? And he was like, because I talked to somebody else, and mind you, the person I was talking to was in jail, and they're like, yeah, you can't let a shoulder bump go. The shoulder bump was what started it, or he didn't really necessarily say that, but what he told me was like, all right, the shoulder bump was like what started it, not throwing the punch. And I was like, to me, growing up in the suburb, I was like, why would you punch a person that already told you they were going to go get a gun? And I was a little bit confused on the timeline, just like with Leandro Lowe, like that they had already gone and come back. I thought when he threw the punch, it was like before he had went and got back. And it's like, you already knew, you were already leaving the party, and in that time that you were leaving, you still ended up starting the fight and getting shot at.
Well, some people just are cruising for a bruising, man.
Yeah.
Some people just really just want to be in the mix, and that is absurd. I avoid conflict as best I can. I don't go talking shit to people online. I'm not disrespectful unless provoked, but then I take it to the nth degree. But here's the deal: when it comes to street fights, or when you're talking shit to someone, you got to be willing to take it to the nth degree. And once we go past polite society and we're talking about mothers or just being disrespectful, we got to come to a consensus, like, are we going to avoid each other or are we going to fight? And if we're going to fight, like, how long are we going to do this for? And are we willing to die? Because that's how I always looked at things. Like, there's always an extreme. There's always people in a conflict that are willing to take it to that extreme. Am I lying?
Yeah, that's why I'm terrified of crackheads.
Yeah, like, nah, I mean,
crackheads will always take it there. They have zero
take it
fear.
to the extreme. Like, there's some people that don't give a fuck. I use this example a lot. There's some people that drive like there's no one at home that loves them. There are some people that go through life, they just don't give a fuck. Like, they feel as though their life is worthless, and they don't give a fuck about deleting you. So to me, if I'm in a situation where I feel like there's any kind of squabble, any kind of brawl, and especially if there's no security, I'm gone. Now, with that being said, sometimes people are just so out of pocket and so out of line, and the beef is so real that you might have to just give somebody some act right. And to me, if it's a street fight situation, if I'm going to put hands on somebody outside of a gym, it has to be, there's no option of me leaving. I know for sure that in a fair one with 99.9% of the population, I would beat the fuck out of somebody. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but toot. There's a lot of people that don't know how to fucking fight. And most people have never had to spar and put the headgear on, put the mouthpiece in, never had to go against people that trained to fight and had to fight. I've been in gyms my whole life. I've sparred MMA fighters professionally. I know what it's like. Most people haven't. So if I'm going to be in this conflict, someone's going to get hurt, and it's probably not going to be me. But I also know that some people are packing or will go somewhere to get a gun, and they're not going to do me like that. So I know that if we're in a fight in real life, not a demonstration, someone has to be willing to beat somebody down till they're incapacitated.
Or the police come.
Or the police come.
Yeah,
but I don't
right.
trust that the police are going to come. And I don't want to be there when the police come, because in my mind, I'm going to do everything it takes to win.
Yeah, very true.
You know, someone is going to start a conflict with me. I need to make it so they're less than when they started it with. So with that being said, like, I'm going to go dirty. Like, I would cheap shot a motherfucker. Hit somebody with something. Like,
yeah, you tried to ask me before we started filming. It's like, would you fight with honor in a street fight? And what I was going to ask you, and I said I'd save it for the pod, is, are you fucking kidding me, Tim? Honor in a street fight?
I was just asking. I wanted to know where your head was at, because I don't think there's any honor in street fighting.
Okay, I'm just, as long as we're on the same page with that, because I was like, are you considering that? Is that a consideration? Yeah. Why is that a question? Like, no, I'm trying to break your kneecaps or kick you in the nuts or gouge your eye, like all that Krav Maga shit.
I train martial arts because I think it's important to know. You never know when you're going to use it, and it's good to like hedge my bets. But if I'm in a situation where I mean, any kind of danger, I think, like, I'm going to hit you with shit. I might try to stab you. I might fucking shoot you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I don't think that people get with the whole online shit talk, or even, you know, there's so many martial artists that have died thinking that it's pride and honor and letting people go. Or, you know, just being like, hey, are we cool? Like, the sad part about Leandro Lo thing is that he didn't mollywop the guy and beat the fuck out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he let the guy go. Your big mistake.
The sad thing about him is that he had him in full mount and was unaware that he was armed. Because when we talk about like actual self-defense and then like what you can do, like especially like if you're a female or you're trying to run away and like you can get into a full mount, like the full mount is a time like where one, I'm gonna try to steal your wallet so that I have your ID and I have your name and I know where you live. And two, I'm checking to see if you have a gun, because if you don't have a gun, then I know it's safe for me to get up and run. And if you do have a gun, I know if I run, then you can shoot me in the back. Like that's like self-defense 101. So what's sad is that Leandro Lo was in a point where he had immobilized and was in full mount and was still unaware of the danger that he is in. Beating the fuck out of him was not going to do anything but create more hate.
Yeah, so you might have to just kill the guy.
I mean, he didn't have, like, if he was in full mount and if he was in a month layout, then he could have disarmed him. But he didn't know. Like, and it's not, Leandro Lo is not, like, in the military. Like, you would expect that is what the murderer, the person that was in the military, the armed forces, you would expect that is the kind of level of training that police would have. Like, you got into an armed confrontation, an at-hand confrontation with somebody that was armed to be able to identify that they are armed and remove that weapon from them before they were able to, like, kill somebody. That you know, that would be the real goal of a bodyguard, would it not be? Like, you know, armed forces, the police. So, you know, that is what's unfortunate that didn't happen, because I thought when I first heard the story that he had gone and got his gun from a car, or that when you register it, you have to leave it at the door. But no, apparently he had it on his body. It's like, how are you in full mount and like you didn't, like, being at the bar, being like intoxicated, which is your right. Like, you know, you had every right to be intoxicated and not messing with people. So that's really just sad. Like when you talk about like street fighting, like I'm like, definitely, like one thing they say when you have like a concealed carry, it's like, yo, take that gun with you everywhere, because you never know when you're going to need it. Like, not just when you think you need it. And when you do have it, it's like, because everybody, like, Tim talks about like rational stuff, but you know, everybody got that cousin or that friend that's that nigga that's going to get everybody locked up. Mm-hmm. That's like, yo, why are you getting in a street fight? Tim ain't getting in a street fight. Like, he talk about like it was a friend at a bar that got him in a fight. Yo, everybody has that friend. Let me tell you, like, when I have my gun with me, like, that friend ain't with me. Like, cause like, what's gonna happen? Like, even if I legally kill someone in self-defense, that's a night I'm spending in jail, and I still need a lawyer. Like, I'm still gonna need a lawyer, whether it was legal or not. So it's like, you got to think about that. Like, oh, because he was dumb and tried to call some girl a bitch and now like got in a fight, and then I tried to back up my boy and I have my gun. Like, that's a situation that I'm just not getting into. Like, the words that come out my mouth, like, I like would be a lot different knowing that I have that situation on me. So it really makes you think about it. Like, people also tell you, like, yo, if you're in a situation where you feel like you need like to bring your gun, which I've been in certain like work situations, is like, then you shouldn't go. Like, you shouldn't be in that situation anyway. Like, why are you putting yourself in that situation? And a lot of people put themselves in situations that they don't really think about, like the danger inherent in it.
Yeah, you got to be good at de-escalation. The key is when we go out that we want to go back home in better condition than when we left, or having a good time. And a part of that is the group that you bring along with you. So to my final question, if so happened that you were in a situation like CM Punk and the Elite, and you had your friends with you, what friends would you bring to the brawl, to the squabble, that you want on your side?
Are we talking about fighters or shooters?
Let's do a mix mash. You don't have to name names if you don't feel if they have open cases.
Wait, who am I bringing to a fight? I think we talked about this one time because we identified that neither of us would bring DJ Jackson.
No, I would not bring DJ.
Dang. How many people can I bring?
No more than 3.
I'm bringing Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Dang, I should have thought about this before. I'm bringing Muhammad Ali. I'm bringing Master Lloyd. And I am bringing Musin.
I'm bringing Musin for sure. I'm bringing Master Lloyd because the running debate is whether or not, if given enough prep time, could Master Lloyd beat up Batman? And I always believe that Master Lloyd could fight Batman. Master Lloyd is basically is Batman. Any guy that can deharm a home intruder and empty disengage the magazine and clear out the round in the round in the chamber and make them run, he needs to be on my team.
Yeah,
Musin,
100%.
Musin, of course, he's like ready for the apocalypse. One more person I would bring. I think I would bring my pops, because I think low key he's like a ninja. Because when I was a kid, we were roughhousing and I ran at him and he hit me with the cleanest Haraigoshi ever. And he never told me he did judo. I don't think he did judo, but to this day, that is the cleanest throw I've ever been. Besides an Olympian like Sugi or Nick Del Popolo or Nyamkar, that is like God tier, like judo throw.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Tim's a military brat, if you didn't know that. So that's definitely believable.
Yeah, like I don't know what he did. For all I know, he's definitely is like the real life Captain America, but he never told me. All I know is that he won a Bronze Star. So I bring those 3 people, and notice how I brought black people.
We all did, and a lot of them like TL Live.
I don't know what that means. We're not being racist, but like.
I mean, I think a token would have probably been good. Put it all on the token white
Who's
person.
the token white person that we're bringing?
Greek god, maybe? No, he just locked his hair. We can't bring him. Damn.
He just locked his hair?
Yeah.
Damn, I don't know.
You lose your token white boy privilege once you lock your hair. Like, that's not going to look good for the feds.
Yeah, you kind of lose it, right? You just lose all the benefits of whiteness. But that's it. That's all I had to talk about street fights. Wrestling is full of sensitive thugs. There's a lot of sensitive thugs in jiu-jitsu and MMA too, but they hide it with being able to beat up common people. But I think a lot of people are real sensitive. De-escalation is the theme of today, I'd say. De-escalate. You shouldn't have to be in a situation where you have to fight, but if you do, don't call me because I am not going to jail for you.
You know, squad up was my main takeaway from this episode. But if you say it's de-escalate, we'll just leave the ladies and gentlemen with that message. De-escalate.
So, Nico, where can we find you to de-escalate?
You can find me on Instagram at no_Nico. That's no_new_Nico. Make sure to drop by favelajujitsu.com for official BJJ Goons merch. You can buy Favela Jiu-Jitsu t-shirts to support social projects in Rio. And if you're trying to learn some Portuguese for Jiu-Jitsu or actually travel to Brazil, make sure to sign up at PortugueseForBJJ.com. You can only sign up. It's not a full website, but I'll be sending out some study resources and information for those of you that are interested in going to Brazil with me.
You can find me at TimSpriggsBJJ.com. I do private lessons, both in person and virtually. I create game plans for my clients. I also critique your matches in real time, like I'm John Madden. You can also see me at TimSpriggsBJJ on Instagram and on Facebook and Twitter at MushmasterWins. You can see both of us at patreon.com/BJJGoons. We do town halls. We do in-depth interviews, like bonus material that is like so raw that we cannot put it on YouTube. And I do breakdowns of MMA and jiu-jitsu and all types of crazy shit. We even have a Discord channel, but you can only get that if you become a patron at patreon.com/BJJGoons. On behalf of Nico, I would like to say thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Peace.
I missed it 2 times. Peace, y'all.